Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. At BriteVibe, we believe everyone deserves to be happy. But in today's world, everywhere you turn, there is division and negativity. At BriteVibe, we have created a global movement to bring 8 million people together who are inspired to live bright, live bold, and share bright vibes. Alone, it can be hard to change, but together we can change the world. Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. Sibtain Raza, welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. So happy to have you on today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we've got from the pre-show, we've got lots of interesting stuff lots of interesting directions we can go. And we really don't, between the two of us, know exactly where it's going to go today, other than we're going to have a very spirited, fun conversation around, always around probably more, I would almost categorize it as passion, people's passion and interests.
Yes.
You're a comedian, you're a real estate investor. You said you were a PI in a former, when you were younger. You've had a very diverse background, but let's actually start with the background that started before you came to the United States. So you were actually not born in the States.
Correct. I was born in Pakistan, A student-ish. I would always be second in my class. Never could quite reach the top, but I was also not trying.
Mm.
I was very athletic growing up. I played a lot of cricket.
Mm.
Uh, I probably could have gone pro if my family had, helped me pursue it. Because
Oh, wow.
I could only do so much at age 11, 12.
Right.
And back then I didn't know what to do or to go or anything. But I was in Pakistan up until I was 12, and then
Mm.
I moved here at 12, and I lived in Chicago for a year, and my family and I couldn't handle the cold.
Oh, uh-huh.
We moved to Dallas, and we've been in the same damn zip code for the past 23, 24 years.
Oh, wow. So what on earth? I've not, again, ever really talked to a professional comedian, somebody who does this for a living, but what on earth possessed you to want to become a comedian?
I was always the class clown. I always knew I was funny. I
Mhm.
always wanted to be in a sitcom because that's all I would watch, right? Like
Oh, okay.
Friends or sitcoms in Pakistan. I'm just like, when you see something and you're like, that, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. This is it for me. Of course, I wasn't very encouraged by my family to do it. Even now, I'm not encouraged. In fact, they freaking hate it. They loathe it.
Mhm.
However, I'm like, that's what I want to do, but I didn't know the first thing about going and pursuing or
Mhm.
anything. So I wanted to be really in sitcom. And I came to America. Things are the way they are. I think at 18 or 19 years old, I was in an AOL chat room. And this is kind of how I discovered stand up comedy, because I was in an AOL chat room and I was talking to this girl and I said something funny. And she goes, ha ha ha, Dane Cook says that. And I'm like, and it's good to hear that you're a Dane Cook fan. I love Dane Cook. And back then, I'm sure Dane,
Yep.
every girl was
Right, yeah, yeah.
crazy about
He
Dane
he
Cook.
played all the campuses. I remember that. Yeah.
Right. And I have no idea who Dane is.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, he must be some celebrity, whatever. I'll be a
Right.
celebrity someday. That's what I thought in my head.
Mhm.
And then a couple days, another 2, 3 days go by, and I say something, and she goes, "Oh yeah, Dane Cook says that. You love quoting Dane Cook." And I'm like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And I look up Dane Cook, and that night I watched everything. I was up till 6 in the morning watching all of Dane Cook.
Right,
That was available on YouTube and MySpace.
right.
I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
watched all of it, and I was like, "That I want to do that. I think I want to do that more than sitcom."
Wow.
And then it really clicked. It's like, yeah, it's there, but it's like something's missing, right? Like sitcom,
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
all there, but yeah, something's missing. And maybe it plays into my narcissism a little bit, but I was like, I like being the only one on stage.
Right, right, yeah.
And
And you
yeah,
get the
so
live feedback, right?
yes,
It's not like a sitcom where you're recording
mhm,
behind cameras, you're interacting with an
right,
audience, right? That's
exactly, yes. Then I was like, okay, I don't know how to do this. And of course, a few weeks later, I was in Canada, and my he goes, oh, yeah, Russell Peter has a joke about that or something. I was like, who the hell is Russell Peters? And I started looking Russell Peters, and it's this Indian guy keeps popping up. And I was like, that's not an Indian name. And so next morning I told my cousin, I said, hey, dude, I keep looking up Russell Peters and this Indian guy keeps showing up. He's like, yeah, that's it. And then I watched all of Russell Peters the rest of the night. And then I was like, all right, one brown man can do it. I'm sure I can do it.
Nice.
So,
So how
so,
long have you been doing comedy then?
so now I'm a decade in.
Are you really?
Uh, Yes, I'm a decade eight.
Well, good for
I'm a
you.
decade it. Yes. It took me about 8, 9 years to start finally getting paid where I can I
Wow.
I I quit my high six figures career to just do this now because I'm doing well enough, let's put it that way.
Got it. Wow, that now
Uh-huh.
that's dedication to something that's kind of it's not like you're going to the college for 8 years and then you're gonna get out and be a doctor or you're going, a
Oh,
lawyer or even finance, right? It wasn't
mhm,
like at the end of this road, you
mhm.
get XYZ. It's more like at the end of this road, you may get bupkis. You may get nothing. You may end up, right, with 0
Right.
zero
I
job and 0 anything.
Mhm. I've always been, keen on having foresight on what is possible and what's not possible, and
Mhm.
I looked at some stats. It was like
Yeah.
0.024% chance of you becoming famous or whatever, and I'm like, "Okay, that's a challenge I'm willing to take on." However, I gave myself 10 years.
Mhm.
So I said so I started 26,
Got it.
27,
Mhm.
because that's how long it took. I had to make sure my family was taken care of, and I had backup plan if something fails. So
Right.
I had to make sure of all of that. So I did that, and again, I didn't know how to pursue it. I found a way to pursue it, which is going to open mics.
Throw me something then. Throw me since so people are being so kind to listen to our podcast and we're just
Uh-huh.
kind of talking about different things there. So what's a bit that you really, really like that would be pertinent to what we've been talking about?
Oh, so actually, so I have my book over here, and so I leave. I even got a new board over here. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
I got a new board, so I just leave stuff hanging on the wall, and I'm like, I'll be walking by, or there'll be a punchline on a sticky note or something, and it kind of just comes to me. So I have the thing over here where I just started doing this show a couple months ago, and I think it can still be better. But it's basically I moved here from Pakistan when I was 12, and it's a typical rags to riches story. We didn't know anybody. My dad didn't have a job, and he only had $185,000 in his pocket.
Right. Yeah.
And then I was like, we moved here in 1999, right? And 2001,
Yeah.
somebody screwed it up for
Yeah.
everybody, probably my uncle. And,
I
but I really, actually,
like that one. That's a good
I
one.
really I really hated going to school because my mom would actually make me wear this shirt that said "God bless America,"
Uh-huh.
so people wouldn't pick on me. I'm like, "Mom, it says made in Pakistan. What the hell?" And it's all a true story. It's all a
Is that
true story.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love
So I would have to wear because we couldn't afford a whole lot of shirts, I would wear the same shirt pretty much every other day or not every day. It's like and my mom would wash it and make me wear it again the next day. She's like, "No, just
it.
wear this." It's like people will not pick on you. It's like everybody picks on me because I'm wearing this shirt.
The same shirt. I love it.
So that's kind of what I'm working on right now too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. So one, just kudos to you for kind of living your passion and pursuing your passion. I mean,
Yeah.
I currently I'm reading a couple different books and they really
Mhm.
talk about this is the life we have and if we want something, then we have to initiate, what we want. So, recently our family moved 1,000 miles across the country because it wasn't an environment that I thought was going to get the results that I wanted for the rest of my life. So I was like, well, then we
Yeah.
gotta, and for me, pulling up stakes was a pretty big deal because I'd always lived in Kansas my whole life, had businesses there, had associates
Mhm.
there, had all kinds of all my whole life was there. I didn't know anybody where we moved to Asheville, North Carolina, or not very many people, a couple. I think COVID has definitely magnified what are you doing with your life, right? How are you helping people? How are you impacting lives?
Mhm.
How are you making a difference in the world? And your world could be your kids, your spouse, your friends. I mean, your world doesn't have to be the world. It can be the
Right.
community of people you're in. What is that for you in comedy, right? What about comedy feeds your soul? I'm assuming it's not just the narcissistic tendencies you talked about.
Honestly, what's better than making people laugh?
Right.
And I will say this, a lot of comedians are known to be depressed
Uh-huh.
and
Right.
very socially awkward. Okay, I am a little socially. Um, but that being said, I'm not depressed. I do it because I have such a good life. I'll tell you this story, and this story is probably my favorite story in the
Mhm,
recent days.
mhm,
I saw a lady struggling. And like sometimes people will just say, "Hey, can you please pray for me?" and stuff. And
mhm,
it's like,
mhm.
okay. And then they'll just kind of, "Hey, can you please pray for me?" And they'll just disappear. Like, what do you want me to pray for?
Right.
And I don't know, but I'll say this. I was like, I know my life is so amazing. I've made my life so amazing. So I will pray and I'm Muslim, so like I'll pray like 5 times a day, all that jazz.
Hmm.
I will pray that they get 100 times better life than I,
Oh, nice.
because like my life runs efficient. I have zero complaints. There are 0 days I wake up sad,
Mm,
and that's the life I've chose to make for myself.
right.
When it comes to comedy, I'm like, okay, I've had an amazing life, but you can't have an amazing life with a little bit of hiccups here and there, or
Hmm.
having some crazy thoughts in your head. And crazy can go two ways. It's like, okay, here's a murderous guy, or you
Right.
could be a comedian who can take the
Mm-hmm.
crazy, turn it into funny, and now a whole room of full of people are laughing at your
Hmm.
jokes,
Hmm.
right? So it's very fulfilling. Like I've never. I mean, look, if you're down, if you're like, like, even if you're like, God forbid, you're suicidal or whatever, but if somebody told you a joke that resonated with you,
Hmm.
you will laugh and you're going to
Right.
feel better, and it's going to release oxytocin or
Hmm.
whatever brain chemicals, and you're going to like give it a second thought.
Hmm.
And I have talked two people off the ledge figuratively. I mean, I don't know what's more fulfilling than that other than motherhood.
Right. Well, and you're probably not going to experience that anytime soon. Uh,
Uh, Hopefully never. It looks very fake.
yes, it does. How do people, because I know you do from looking at the website and doing some research, you do corporate gigs. So you go in and if people want to book you to come do a corporate gig
Hmm.
or just want to visit with you about, maybe doing something with on the corporate side, kind of how
Hmm.
do they, what's website, social media, how do people get a hold of
So my website is legendofsib.com.
Okay.
My Instagram, my Twitter, my TikTok, it's all Legend of Sib. But most of my gigs come from this website called Gig Salad.
Gig salad? Never heard of it.
Gig Salad, yeah. I hadn't either. I signed up for it during COVID because I
Hmm.
wasn't getting anything.
Right.
I was like, you know what? Let me just kind of get my foot in and see what happens once COVID dies down after 4 months.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I signed up around March. And actually, COVID is the reason why I started getting so many bookings. Texas was closed for about 6 hours. So
Right. Yeah. I
it
was in
was 6
Kansas.
hours.
I understand.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Right.
So Texas was closed for about 6 hours, and they were like, "You know what? Screw this. We're gonna start doing shows in our backyard and stuff." So
Right.
then I started doing backyard shows, and just like doing a show, 20 minutes for $100 here, 200
Hmm.
bucks here, and I was like, "Hey, I will give you a steep discount. I'll do it for free. Just leave me a badass review."
Mm, gotcha.
And then corporate started booking me. And again, I didn't know how to charge them properly. So I kind of undersold myself a little
Mhm.
bit. But now 85% of my income comes from corporate shows.
Oh, wow.
So I do a lot of corporate shows. Like I've done shows for Remax, Nationwide Insurance. Some of them I can't mention.
Mhm.
Applebee's, CC's Pizza, if you're familiar with any of
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
Sonic drive through.
Mhm.
So Y it's been a good ride. Yeah, and I work clean. A lot of
Mhm.
comedians will go up there, it's like, "Oh, let me talk about my genitals and let me talk about my XYZ," and
Mhm.
I'm like, corporate doesn't want that.
No.
You gotta
Right.
work clean. And then I also do clubs as well across the country, but, they typically don't pay very well. However, clubs are you can't beat the experience of it.
Right. 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 Yep. That's your kind of your testing ground, right? I know, like, like a Seinfeld or a Dave Chappelle or so, right?
Mhm,
These guys tour at clubs to refine
mhm.
and hone their stuff for the
Yes,
comedies, for the HBO or the Netflix or whatever comedy
exactly,
specials, right? That's kind of you go try
exactly.
out your material and see what lands, right?
Exactly, yes. So,
Yeah.
no new stuff at corporate events. No, they're paying very good money to, you know, make sure they are entertained. I'm not about to go try new stuff over there. But what
Right.
I've seen the rise of in corporate world is making or roasting your bosses,
Oh, well.
like the CEO or
Mhm.
the vice president or the regional director, whatever. They want you to, obviously nothing disrespectful,
Right, right,
but
right.
I will go in there. I will personalize a lot of jokes towards them. The employees love it, right? Because they don't have to follow. And
Right,
here's the other
right,
thing. The employees get in on, hey, tell him this, tell him that.
right, 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 right.
So I'll write everything down, and it's awesome. It's so fulfilling. Employees have fun. It also shows that your bosses and CEOs and everybody's
Mhm.
just a human, just like you. They
Right.
also work hard, and people think just because they're making a lot of money, they're just working 40 hours and sitting on their ass doing nothing, which is
Mhm.
which couldn't be further from the truth. These guys are
Right.
working 80, 90, 100 hours a week.
Right. Yep, totally.
Um,
Well, nice. Well, so nice to have you on the show today. I appreciate your time, and
oh, my
it's
pleasure.
I love talking to people with diverse backgrounds and like culture, but then also financial stuff. Just the different stuff that you've done
Mhm.
there too. And certainly, I wish you the best. Hopefully, I will see you on a Netflix comedy special or an HBO comedy special. Right? I'm going to see you on the
Yeah.
on the big screen, so to speak, now on demand. Right?
Yes, it will happen soon.
I love it. I love it. Well, when you launch, let us know. Come back on, and we'll promote the special that you're doing. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a bit of your
Absolutely.
sharing a bit of your life with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
really appreciate you having me.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of the Bright Vibe podcast. For more information, go to britevibe.com. That's BRITE vibe, VIBE.com. Thank you for listening.